All right, everyone. So we gave 5 minutes, and we've got what we've got, so we'll get started. So hello and welcome. My name is Zach Graff. I'm an engineer with CAD Masters, where I've been working for the last 10 years, implementing, customizing, and training Autodesk software for the AEC industry. Today I'm going to spend some time talking about and showing you BIM 360, especially as it applies to the world of civil design. I'll take some time to give some background info. Then I'll show you the basics of BIM 360 docs and the new civil specific features of BIM 360 design. So recently, the increase in BIM, which means Building Information Modeling, has seen an explosion in the tools building designers can use to create data-rich models of their design, visualize them, and share them with distributed project teams easily and securely. The tools available for civil designers have slowly followed suit. Of course, we have Civil 3D for the bulk of our work, but we also have InfraWorks for early stage planning and visualization, and 3ds Max Design for compelling still images and animation. Let me just make sure, yep, we're showing my screen. Now with the release of BIM 360 Design Collaboration for Civil, we've finally got that last piece. So we've got a full seat at the BIM 360 table. We've got a larger industry that's moving toward multidiscipline collaboration and dispersed project teams. So stakeholders increasingly want access to the project at all times, and they want a smooth handoff process as the project moves from design through construction and into operation. And there's more and more data being created throughout this process, and BIM 360 helps us to package it all together in one location, available and traceable at the end of the project, with smoother handovers along the way. So as you can see in this slide, we're going for that green line without the drop off at each handover along the way. Now let's talk about some of the collaboration challenges that you're probably already facing and will be facing as you try to increase that collaboration. First, you've got the issue of security and accountability. So are you concerned about who has access to your files? Can you easily control who has that access? Are you aware of who's doing what in the project? And can you tell when files were created, when they were updated, by who, what changed? When it comes to team communication, are you frustrated working with other teams because you feel your design intent is getting lost in translation before the project even begins? And then another concern is project complexity. So projects are getting more complex and schedules are getting tighter. And when these factors aren't addressed up front, there can be negative impacts on the overall quality of the project. And then short-term solutions may end up with long-term consequences. And finally, the last challenge you may see is centers on the technology itself. So most of the tools for collaboration are not purpose-built to handle AEC design data, and especially not civil design data. So have you been using tools that make collaboration difficult, where the project history is lost, where the current version of the project has to be hunted down over and over again? You find yourself digging through emails, trying to find that last file sent by somebody you're collaborating with. So, what if you could solve these problems and challenges? And that's where the BIM 360 platform enters. Autodesk brought everything together into a single BIM 360 brand that supports design, build, and operate, so the entire project life cycle. BIM 360 aggregates and unifies all that project data into one single source of truth, providing real-time access to the current model for all stakeholders while allowing collaboration, transparency, and accountability. Now we'll take a look at BIM 360 Design in specific, which was built for collaboration by engineers, architects, and really all project stakeholders. And just a quick flashback of those collaboration challenges we're trying to address with BIM 360. So here's the solution in BIM 360. So for security, we've got folder level permissions. With BIM 360, you can restrict access to folders based on users, role, or company. You've got multiple access levels, which allow you to assign the correct level of access for the situation. You can give each company their own private folders, or you can have group collaboration folders. You can give project managers access to all files. With the right combination, you have the flexibility to easily control who sees what and what they can do with it. For team communication, we've got transmittal and reviews. So team communication can be made more efficient. It's easy to ensure that your project team is always aware of the project overall progress. You can create and manage transmittals to package up design documents at key stages in the project. And then it's easy to go back later and look at the transmittals throughout the life of the project, and you can see the correct versions of each file in each of those transmittal packages. You can also create review packages to manage the approval process. So you can design the reviews with as many steps and people as you need to move the files through the process you already use. Somebody can submit a file, move it through this process with approvers, all inside of the BIM 360 platform. And then for both transmittals and reviews, you can track who did what, when they did it, for every instance throughout the entire project. And the goal of all that is really just to ensure that everyone meets their milestones and deadlines and help you reduce the time it takes to effectively review design revisions. There's some accountability built into BIM 360 as well. You can hold your project team accountable by ensuring that everyone in the project is completing their tasks in a timely manner by using issues. Use BIM 360's issue tracking and management tool to put context around issue resolution with the ability to pin an issue to any 2D or 3D design location. And then you can collaborate with comment threads. You can add photos, assign work, and track resolution all the way through inspection. And I'll be showing you this stuff in just a minute. It's kind of the star of our show today. So for project complexity, we can alleviate that by enabling members to better collaborate on designs. You can use BIM 360 Design to enable anytime, anywhere access to your Civil 3D projects. And with this ability, you can extend file collaboration to project teams in any location while centralizing efforts of distributed teams. You can also better allocate resources and assign the best team members with the most relevant skill sets to each project. So you're not constrained to just the people in one office. You're not constrained to the projects just in one location. Now you can distribute that and access everything from everywhere. And finally, if your concern is inefficient tools, we've got access to purpose-built tools for the AEC design projects. The project home in BIM 360 Docs will show you an overview of everything going on in the project. We can track design packages. We can see the issues assigned to us and address RFIs. Now we're kind of moving in the BIM 360 design direction. So BIM 360 design has sort of three main aspects. The first is collaboration for Civil 3D, which is what we'll be looking at today, and that's the part that allows XREFs and data shortcuts, as well as your project models, to reside in the cloud. Second, we've got the document management module, which allows the online viewing, version comparison, and access management of the project in the cloud. The BIM 360 Docs module is the one that stakeholders will use who aren't actively working in Civil 3D. And then finally, the third is the desktop connector. Desktop connector is a small plugin that you install, and it allows Windows Explorer to see the BIM 360 folder structure. You can upload files right through there, and as well as open files from the cloud-based folder structure, all with automated file locking. All right, and so with that, I am going to jump right into the demo. And so this is BIM 360. It is web-based and also has mobile applications for both Android and iOS. And it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to start out by showing you kind of the user management. So the first thing that the admin would do is go to the account admin and create a project. In this case, you can see that I'm in a project called Design for Civil. And just to note, you can be part of other people's projects as well. So if I were to go to change account, you can see that I've got a few different hubs, other people's projects as well. But this CMI project is the one I want to be in. And in here, if I go to the project admin, this is where you'll go and set up your project. It's really easy to invite people to this. On this members tab, you can see that I've got a couple members, and the process of adding is very straightforward. If I just type in the email address of the person I'd like to add, then I can assign them a company. So these are the companies that already exist in this project, or I could type a new one. I'll add this person to WC Engineering, and then some predefined roles that BIM 360 provides for you. And we'll see those roles come up again when we look at permissions on the folders. All right, so it's that simple. We click Add to Project. That user gets an email, and their Autodesk ID automatically will log them in to this project. Okay. So we've added a user and a company, and now we can jump into the document management module. So this folder structure that you see on the left, I created, and it's very easy to create. Actually, don't need that folder. So on the left side here, you can simply click on this ellipsis, and I can add a subfolder. So I'll make a new folder called O4 Deliverables. And then on any folder or subfolder, again, you can right-click or go to that ellipsis, and you can set permissions. So these permissions allow you to control who can see a folder and then what they can do inside of it. You can see that right now, all of my users have folder control, but essentially I can add any user, specific user, company, so I can say WC Engineering, or role, so I could say all civil engineers get access to this. And then along with that permission, I can add the actual permission level. So can they only view it? Can they upload? Can they download? Do they have complete folder control? And this way, as I mentioned earlier, you can have folders that are company specific, and people can't mess with each other's files. They can't even see them. But then you can also add access to your project manager so they can get to everything all at once. You can create folders where everybody can share files. So very, very granular and flexible permissions, again, based on users, roles, or companies. And then within this, we've also got online viewers. So this is kind of for those stakeholders who aren't actively going to be working in Civil 3D, or if you're going beyond Civil 3D, Revit, people who aren't actively using the design software can still get in here and take a look at the files. So right in the web or on the mobile apps, they can get right in here to the files. They can see what's going on. It automatically publishes any layouts that you have and creates these 2D views. And then these 2D views can have issues and markups assigned to them. And that's actually what we see going on right here. This particular sheet has an issue, which was created yesterday by me, and it has been assigned to one of my users. And the issue is that existing ground is missing from these cross sections. Okay. Now, the beauty of this is that when that user logs in, they're going to see this issue pop up right in front of them, and they're going to go to address that issue. And we're also tracking the entire process. So we will, throughout the entire length of this project, we will know when the issue was created, we'll know who it was assigned to, and we'll see all the communication, resolution, and files that are added to it, pictures, any of that kind of stuff sticks around in this project. Okay. We've also got markups, so we can redline these sheets real easily. Any view really can have these markups that are view specific. It kind of simplifies that process. The reviewers no longer have to go into the design software, add these markups, re-upload and all that. This can all be taken care of right here in the cloud by these stakeholders that don't actually use the design software. And it's got clouds and text and arrows and dimensions and everything you could need to do your red lines. Okay. And then one other aspect in here is the versioning. So let me close out of this. This is behind my. So you'll notice that on these files, there's a versioning column, and you can see a lot of them are V1s, but I've got a V10 here. So versioning is automatically taken care of for you every time this file is uploaded or saved through design. This is going to get incremented. And if I click on this version here, you'll see that entire list. You'll see who actually uploaded the file. And if you need to, you can come back and make an older version current, which then means that the project moving forward will be based on that previous version. Additionally, this is a really neat feature. You can compare versions. Okay. So let's see, intersection finish. If I go to compare versions and I choose one that I know is different, it'll take me in here. And there's two visualization methods for this comparison. One is kind of this color-based, red versus blue. And so you can see that version 5 had my corridor headed this direction, and in version 10 my alignment has changed and the corridor runs this direction. So all the changes between the two files are going to display with that color-coded display. And then another option down here is, rather than the overlay, I can use this side-by-side slider, and I can actually slide across, and you'll see that that comparison, which allows you to just always know, what has changed. Somebody puts a new file up, the version increases, and you want to know, well, what did they change? You don't have to wait for them to explain everything. You can actually come in here and start exploring it right away and visualize those changes really nicely. Okay. Good. And then I want to jump in and show you some of the aspects of the actual civil specific stuff. So everything I showed you in here just now is really part of BIM 360 Docs, which is sort of the base level document management package in BIM 360. And that's the kind of license you would need if you were going to include, less technical stakeholders that aren't going to work at Civil 3D. Now we're going to jump into design, which is a further license, and this is for the people that are actively going to work in design. In Civil 3D. So one aspect of this whole process is that in Civil 3D 2020, they have added a lot of functionality to coordinate with this BIM 360 setup. So right here on the home splash screen, we will actually see that we have a BIM 360 tab, and that BIM 360 tab will allow us to navigate. Let's go all the way back. So this is kind of like what we saw before. I can change my accounts, and then I can choose the project. And then once I'm in the project, I've got that same folder structure that we've seen before, and I can jump right in to find my files. Okay. Now, as soon as I open something, like intersection finish. What it's going to do is it's going to copy that down from the cloud to some sort of semi-hidden location locally, and then it's going to open that file up. And what's neat is it's got locking. So as this file is opening, what I'm actually going to see on the cloud is I'm going to see that file become locked. And then I've also got a second computer here where I'm logged in as my other user. And I'm going to see a similar thing happening here. I'm going to see this file become locked, and there it is. So this is my second user. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I opened intersect finish, right? Let's look. Is it open? Okay, so intersection finish is now open. And back here, whoops, the cloud, you can see that it is locked, and it tells me who's got it open. And then finally, if I come back here and refresh, you can see that intersection finish is opened by another user. So this just kind of like you're used to on the local area network with the DWLs. This means that when as a user is opening a file, it locks for everyone else, and everyone else can easily and quickly tell who's got it open. Okay. And then the other aspect is opening, saving. So you can also just through the regular open command see the BIM 360 drive, and that lets you get access all your projects. That's part of Desktop Connector, and so you'll actually see it in Windows Explorer as well. So if your workflow typically involves you going and finding the file and then opening it through Windows Explorer, you can definitely still go that route because as you can see, I can navigate to my BIM 360 drive, find my files, and just double click them to open right there. And it includes all that information we have on the web. So we've got our versioning, we've got the author, all that info is right here in Windows Explorer as well. Okay. So let's talk about some of the methods of creating a file. So if you have a local file, there's a number of ways you can get it up into the cloud. You can drag and drop right into this window, and that file will upload. You can also go through Desktop Connector. So I can, drag a local file into this folder right here, and it will upload that file. Now, what's kind of cool, Autodesk's been pretty thoughtful about our workflows, and so when you drag and drop a file into this folder, it's automatically going to process that file in such a way that it can tell what data shortcuts and external references were consumed in that drawing, and it's going to automatically upload those to the same folder structure, so the same relative path in the XREF folder or wherever you have it, into BIM 360. So all the supporting files are going to come along with it. It's automatically going to create that 3D model we looked at a minute ago in the cloud, along with all the sheets, aka layouts that you have in there. And then the other process that you can do it by is this process whereby we just create a new drawing. And simply save as. But when we save as, we go to our BIM 360 drive and to our project and save it right there. So this also puts it in the cloud. I'll call this section. Actually, I'll do some grading. Okay, so that saves it to the cloud. That process is actually running through the Desktop Connector. So the Desktop Connector, like as I said, is this other small program that's installed. You can see it's processing down here. And if I go to pending actions, I'll actually see that it's taking this grading file, it's locking it, it's uploading it, it's doing all that. And so that is now into the cloud. You can see it right here, locked and processing, being, pulling any layouts out and whatnot. Okay. So as you can see, real quick on that end. And then what is this really, what is this design for Civil really doing for us? What it's allowing us to do is have external references and data shortcuts all running through the cloud. So our project team can be dispersed, you know, all over the world, really. The process in Civil 3D is very similar. So I've created this new file, I've saved it to the cloud, and now I want to do an XREF. So use my XATach, and I'm just going to navigate through my BIM 360 drive to the correct folder, and I'm going to grab my XREF. So nothing here really looks different than what you're used to, except that this XREF resides in the cloud, and my users all over the world can modify that XREF, and I'll see the updates, which I'll show you in a minute. And then data shortcuts as well. So you can actually see I've already set my data shortcut project folder, which I actually would prefer hadn't been done. So if I get out of it, let's see. I guess because I'm in the cloud, it won't let me. So I set my project folder just like you would normally in Civil 3D, except that I go through the BIM 360 drive. And so I park my working folder here, and I've already got a data shortcut project folder, Civil 3D. Now, if you want to know what's going on, it's really the same thing you're used to on your desktop on your local area network. Inside of that project, we've got the underscore shortcuts folder, just like we're used to with our classic workflow. But now that this is up there, these surface references, alignments, corridors that I've already got available as data shortcuts, they're coming from the cloud, as well as the XML file that controls all of them. And so I can easily take some of this stuff and just create a reference. And just like that, I've got my reference. And just to show this whole process thoroughly, I'll jump over to my other computer where I'm signed in as my other user, and I'll go open that XREF. And that was grading base. So it does a quick download, opens the file. Ignore that. Right, and so then if I make a modification, okay, and I'll save. Save this file. Okay, and then give it a couple minutes to do its thing, where it's syncing grading base to the cloud. And then back here, it should be as simple as checking the reference status. So it checks on that file, tells me it's been updated. Yeah, let's reload and see if it's come through. Yep, so not a very pretty modification, but so you can see that process happened on a totally different computer in the cloud. We made a change to the file. It's updated here. Same is true of my data shortcuts. So this really allows our entire Civil 3D project, data shortcuts, XREFs, and all to reside there in the cloud. And let me just check and make sure that's all I wanted to show you on that. Yeah, so the workflow in Civil 3D isn't greatly changed. It's not a lot of training for new users and stuff. It's just that now you have this path in BIM 360, which allows your entire Civil 3D project to reside in the cloud, making it available to the dispersed team, and then also making it available to other stakeholders so that they can come in and just look at the design and do markups and red lines and whatnot right here in the cloud as the project progresses. Okay. So let me jump back in here. I think I've got a couple more slides. So just to touch again on these benefits and maybe expand on them a little bit of BIM 360. So one is a single source of truth. I think this is probably the most basic and probably best benefit. So instead of searching through your emails for that last file, I've been on projects where people have assumed a file was the correct file and gone forward with it for a while, only to realize later that a newer version was sent later, and then we've got the cost of rework and everything. So this single source of truth means that when you look at this BIM 360 folder structure and you look at your design files, those design files you see, those are the current design files. Okay, so everybody on the project can find them very quickly. We've got controlled Civil 3D file access across teams. So what we just looked at, right? Data shortcuts, XREFs, all that stuff in the cloud, but also the folder structure with the permissions where different teams can have access to certain files, other teams can have access to other files. And this doesn't have to be Civil 3D specific. This whole process also works for Revit, AutoCAD, all these other design programs that we want to use. And while I'm talking about that, I'll mention that the storage is unlimited, so you can keep all your files up there. Scan files for images, for instance, from your LiDAR or 3D scanners, they can be really large, and the folder structure on BIM 360 docs will house all of those files. And you can store all your design files, all your project files up there. Email messages, Word documents, Excel documents, PDFs, all that stuff can be stored up there in the cloud for the project in one location. Okay. We've got faster, more efficient collaboration. So we already talked about that, right? We don't need to exchange files. Files are just there. Everybody's working from the same folder structure. Reduced internal server and IT costs. At first, this seems, kind of counterintuitive, but really, as you move in this direction, you no longer have the requirement to store all these files on these large file servers, and you don't need the IT professional time to maintain all that. We've got our deliverable coordination, right? So we've got the transmittals, we've got the documents automatically extracted. All of that stuff is taking place in the cloud. We're reducing rework, as I mentioned, that single source of truth, and also the trackable projectivity and file version history. So all that stuff is taking place as well. Performing design review with stakeholders. So this is what I talked about, where the non-Civil 3D users can still go in there and view that 3D model. They can view those layouts, and they can quickly provide feedback through issues and red lines, and all that's stored in the project and can be responded to and stuff very real time on the active model. And then finally, access your project data anytime, anywhere. So if you're a small firm, and you want to go on vacation, all those files are going to be there. You don't have to load them up on your USB drive and then try to email them or FTP them back to everybody. When you're done, everything is always coming from the same location. It's always live. Your whole team has access to it at all times. So I think that about wraps up what I want to show you. So my encouragement is to start collaborating today. Again, there's the two aspects. BIM 360 Docs is sort of the base module that allows all the online viewing, markups, red lines, transmittals, submittals, and then we add on this design package for the actual designers and engineers that need to actively work in Civil 3D or Revit on the project and collaborate on those design files. Okay. And so now I will pause for questions. I'll turn on the mics and stuff in a minute, so if anybody wants to ask them through the program, they can. If something comes up later, or you'd like to pursue it, or you're interested in how much it costs, or any of that kind of stuff, feel free to email me. There's my email address right there, zach@cadmasters.com. And let me see if I can figure out how to unmute everybody. So if you're eating lunch right now with your mouth full, you might want to mute your phone. I'm going to unmute all participants. And you should be able now to unmute yourself or raise a hand or anything if you have questions through this app. And I will wait here for a minute and see what comes. Whoops. Yeah, so this is recorded. I'll send out a link afterwards to all the participants and everybody who signed up. If you want to rewatch any of it, also I'll put that PowerPoint up there, and like I said, recorded. So all those resources will be available to you later. So just to remind everybody that there is the ability to raise your hand and ask questions and stuff in here. I think you can also unmute your mic through the program. Let me see if I can. Maybe I didn't do what I thought I did. Yes. All right, everybody. Well, if there's no more questions, then I will end the meeting there. Again, if you'd like to follow up on this, don't hesitate to contact me. And like I said, I'll send out this PowerPoint and a link to the video. Was there one more question? Nope, that's it. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your time. And good luck moving into the next technological advancement in our in our design process. Thanks.